Have you been, I'm sure
Uh,
you have, you've been
yeah,
watching the news and everything.
I
Like
have.
today, just to give people a frame of reference, is
Hey, let's
December
welcome
9th.
everybody to happy hour first off. So,
Yeah, well, yeah, I thought that's what we were doing with Grit City. It's happy
okay.
hour at the end of the world, mate.
Welcome to a happy hour at the end of the world. Here we are once again, vying for our place in line on the road to Armageddon.
It sucks less than it did a month ago. It's been really,
Yeah,
we were talking about beforehand, like the Trump derangement syndrome, and
yeah,
he's Hitler, he's a fascist. And now you have something called the Trump effect, where
yeah.
all of a sudden he is de facto globally the president of the United States.
Yes. Have you
He
seen?
has all the power, but he doesn't have any authority. That's the problem. He can't do anything, but people are lining up to like, hey, dude, hey, you know what? I was in your corner whole time, dude. Didn't believe any of that impeachment stuff.
Right here, man.
Solid. I am Trumpian.
It's kind of funny. Didn't he? Where did he go? He was overseas somewhere.
Yeah, he went to the rededication of Notre Dame
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
in France, and he was
He's
there with
sitting next
Dr.
to
Jill.
Macron and
Yeah,
and Jill Biden. Jill.
yeah, yeah.
Joe was nowhere to be seen.
No, and you see that you've seen the photograph of them that says just gone viral.
I
Him
haven't
and
seen it.
oh
No.
no, him and Jill.
Oh yeah.
They're sitting. There's a space. There's a chair between them, but they're sitting and they're just having this like this. Trump's kind of leaning forward like he does, and
Yeah.
she's
Right.
looking at him like, "Oh, you're so incorrigible," that kind of thing. So
Such a man in
yeah,
full control of his capacities.
just completely like in awe, and so the Trump team takes that. And they've decided now they're putting out a fragrance for Christmas,
I
and it's called a fragrance even your enemies can't resist.
like it. I was wondering when Jill leans in and goes, is she pulling a Joe, or is it basically just, ooh, what's that smell? It's not urine.
It's not feces. I don't recognize. But it was you saw him. Remember Indian wrestling
Oh yeah.
when you'd
When
like
you were a
shake
kid,
hands and
you
you
got to
try to
Indian wrestle, right?
you try to push the guy off of his spot.
Now it's just called wrestling.
Yeah, and now it's just called Trump's handshake
Oh, yeah,
because
right.
he shook hands with Macron. I don't know if you saw this, but they're
I
going to
saw
shake hands,
this.
and he goes,
Did Macron really did he try to give him the squeeze or something? Was that
I
it?
don't know, but
Because
Trump went like that and almost put him on his knees.
it looked like he was like Macron went in for the and so Trump goes
Yeah,
gives him a
so
pull.
I thought Trump was going to say "ow, mais oui," but that was it was quite a trip. And you saw that Biden went to Angola
Yes,
last week, which he isn't sure is a city, a country, whatever.
and he didn't do a press conference there.
You know what he did do? He shut his eyes and they counted for 86 seconds. Like, he's like this.
Yeah.
And they're like, well, he was concentrating on the interpreter. And somebody pointed out the guy was speaking English
Yeah.
to him. And he just,
Had he not said anything for a while, they asked Joe a question, and he's like,
I've done my part. He looked like he looked like he was in a black church going, so
he's just feeling it. That's all.
he was feeling it. And then, he goes home and it's like, he's just completely irrelevant. And we've still got 6 weeks. We got to get
I
through
know.
6 weeks with this guy. Things are jumping off in Syria. And the first thing they do is they start sending in drone strikes. It's like, wait a minute, fog of war. The people coming in could be worse than Bashar
Oh, I know.
al-Assad ever thought of being.
Well, that's why, I mean, I don't know. See, I question that because this was, if you remember, you have to go back to one of the raging successes of the Obama era.
The red line in the sand.
The red
Is
line
that where you're
in the
going?
sand. That's it. The red
It's
line.
a red line in the sand.
It's not even. It's not just a line in the sand, mind you. It's a red line in the sand.
What happens to any line in the sand once the wind changes directions? It's gone.
Not a red line.
Mind you.
But here it
Well,
was, the red line in the sand, right? And it was all about, well, if you do this or you do that, then that'll be it. The problem is that we didn't like the people coming in as much as we didn't like the people who were already there. We couldn't find anybody worth supporting, and so we basically wrote the whole damn place off. But Obama couldn't be seen as saying, oh, well, we don't care about these people, so there's a red line in the sand we're going to draw, so we don't care what you do, just don't gas your own people.
right. He says,
and Assad says, where's that red line?
Yeah.
It reminds me of a bit of the movie. You remember the movie Barcelona?
Oh God, that was a great movie. I haven't seen that in years.
You
Now
know,
that you said, they got to watch that again.
When they're sitting there, and of course they're describing the actions between everything, and he's trying to say, well, okay, see these ants, these red ants here are trying to fight with these black ants, and the United States policy is to support the black ants against the red ants. Oh, see, it's all ants to you. That's all this kind of stuff. That's just like the, he's going on about the AFL-CIA and all this kind of stuff.
That was so good.
And he's just making a hash of the whole thing. And I don't know what the guy's name is, but he says, where are the red ants? He picks up a rock and he goes, crunch. And everybody just goes, I guess, so American.
What was the companion movie to that?
There were two, actually. The first one was called Metropolis.
Yeah.
Okay, or not Metropolis, Metropolitan.
Metropolitan.
Yeah. Not to be confused with that classic Metropolis movie or the new Metropolis movie that's come out to try to redo Metropolis.
No, I got to tell you, you got to go a long ways to be Barcelona and Swingers.
Swingers, but also Last Days of Disco.
Last Days of Disco. That's the one I was thinking of.
That was the third one. Yep.
If you want to do a triple header some night,
yeah,
I mean, they're the three greatest movies of all time, arguably.
Whit Stillman's basically trilogy. It's like the Cornetto trilogy that Simon Pegg was in.
Yes, those are good too.
You get Shaun of the Dead and oh my gosh, I forgot the middle one. What's the middle one? Shaun of the Dead. Oh, no, okay. Shaun of the Dead. You have World's End and Hot Fuzz. That's it.
Those are the three. Yeah, we wanted to call this World's End, but we couldn't do that because Simon Pegg would get mad.
Yeah, well, and yeah, happy hours at World's End, because there was a pub there, World's End.
Yeah,
and there actually is a World's End pub. I think when I was in England that one time, I sent you a copy.
Yeah,
which I thought was pretty funny.
Again, I mean, those are some great movies if you want to check them out.
Yeah,
they're awesome.
But this is Happy Hour at the End of the World, not to be confused with Happy Hour at World's End.
That's right. Simon Pegg will not be appearing.
That's right.
I'm not appearing with those blokes.
But as we say, it's always all you can think.
That's right.
So they caught, it appears at this point in time, they have caught the shooter.
Yeah, Luigi, what are you doing, Luigi? Disgrace of the family.
Luigi Mangione. Not to be confused with Chuck.
Yeah, right? Luigi Mangione. This guy's not Irish.
No, but he's out there. The guy actually,
I needed a cannoli and I stopped and they caught me.
That's right. Hey, you leave the gun, you take the cannoli. Found with the gun, mind you.
And the ever-handy manifesto.
Well, you got to have your man.
But people, if you're going to do something,
don't
write a manifesto.
Where are you going to go without your manifesto?
That's right.
Hey, Joe, where are you going with that manifesto in your hands?
You know what? His manifesto, to his credit, was only 3 pages.
Yeah, but apparently
he was concise.
As they said, it was 3 pages of words that are unkind to corporate America. I get a kick out of this. Like,
well, because they don't pay their fair share.
Let's see. So what you're telling me is the guy's a socialist. Is that it?
Oh, he rages against capitalism.
Well, naturally, because he came from, a private boarding school in Maryland, and
Yeah.
one of the Ivy League schools in Pennsylvania, the only Ivy League school in Pennsylvania, but an Ivy League school in Pennsylvania, right? Obviously, this poor young lad has been oppressed all his life. I mean, you know,
Evidently, he had
it,
some kind of, maybe they're thinking, well, he had back pain and something like that, and
oh,
maybe something wasn't covered. And so
oh
this guy,
no.
who's the CEO, who doesn't make that decision,
Yeah.
who's just trying to run the company.
Yeah, like a 50-year-old guy trying to make sure the companies who came up from pretty much nothing. The guy
Yeah,
went to like, I mean, this guy did not go to the University of Pennsylvania.
yeah. No,
This
he
guy
didn't go
went.
to
This guy
Penn.
went to. He went to like the University of Iowa. I
Yeah,
don't even think that.
it was
Do they have a
public school.
football
He
team?
didn't he didn't go to Penn. He went to
No.
Pencil.
Yeah,
He couldn't afford Penn.
that's right. And he's got two kids. I
I
mean,
know.
and
Geez,
for
two
all that,
orphans,
and so
a
this
wife.
douchebag sits there, waits, lies in wait, and then shoots him in the back. Doesn't even have the decency to look him in the eye when he does it
No,
or
and tell
say
him why
anything.
he's doing it.
No,
I mean,
like
how
what? The guy's
unsatisfying.
going to
If
be
you're
dead and
even
he's
the
going to
most
read the
unhinged
bullets.
lunatic, how could it be satisfying for you to take someone's life? They don't know you did it, and they don't know why.
Yeah.
I
Well,
mean, what
he
was the
just felt it
point?
was.
What was the point of that? What message were you trying to send?
Well, he was obviously. I mean, he was sending the message that the socialists aren't going to put up with it anymore. Mark my words, these guys are getting more and more violent, and they will continue to do so until they get their way. That's that's how they operate.
Well,
So
one thing that's happening though is while people occasionally, idiots like Tracy Lorenz will go on and they'll be in support of this, or Sonny Hostin, who's just, I don't know how ABC can justify keeping her on their payroll, but they'll do those kinds of things. But no one's like going out into the streets like the Daniel
yeah,
Penny verdict today, when he was found,
right.
and rightly so,
Yeah.
not
Well,
guilty.
but in that verdict, sure. But before you
But
get to
Black
that, the
Lives
thing,
Matter was trying to stir up, and I was listening to him. He's speechifying, man. He's
yeah.
testifying. He's representing, and you're not getting a whole lot of cheering. And
But
Democrats aren't putting any money into these renter riots anymore
yeah.
because it's not politically expedient now.
Well, and because the reason that look, the guy who sadly died in the New York subway, uh,
Jordan Neely.
Jordan Neely
Say
was
his name. They always send the pictures of him when he was a teenager impersonating Michael
right.
Jackson.
Yeah.
Not
Well,
the thug who's been arrested 42 times and
right.
broke the old lady's orbital socket with his
Right.
fist. They don't show that.
No, because and why is that? Because they're trying to get sympathy for what? What
The
is the point
devil.
of all this? No, it all comes down to this. It's payola. They're grifters. They're looking for an opportunity to get paid off of this. So the idea is to make him a sympathetic figure. Oh, he's just a Michael Jackson impersonator, out of luck and out of work because Michael's been dead low these 30 years or
Yeah.
whatever it is. And on top of that, apparently Michael Jackson wasn't the biggest pedo on the block. I mean, he was the second stringer compared to like P. Diddy and
Oh my
Jay-Z.
God. Some of these guys, Sean Combs,
Yeah.
I don't even, you know what, dude? I don't even want to know what that was about.
I don't
I'm
know, but
afraid
they
that my soul will catch fire if I hear everything that he did.
they just indicted well, didn't indict, but they just named uh Jay-Z as
Yeah.
a
Well, it's another
co-conspirator in the
unnamed person from 20
yeah.
some odd years ago.
So apparently there was some female celebrity that was watching the whole assault of a 13-year-old girl. And let me just get right out there and say, you don't mistake a 13-year-old girl for somebody who's over 18.
No, they know.
You
The
know,
reason she's there is because she's 13 with
yeah.
people.
Apparently well, I don't know who she is or the nature of her family life, but apparently she went lurking about the back of the Video Music Awards in hopes to get in, and ended up talking to one of the chauffeurs who said he worked for Sean Combs, and she got in that way. So I don't know, she's been around and knew enough to get there, but again, nobody, I don't care who you are or what put you in a bad situation, nobody's looking to get drugged and raped. I was going to
Well,
call
no,
it
it's
date
like
rape, but
back
it's
when
not
we
even
were
that.
kids in the 70s when they'd say, oh, well, did you see how she was dressed? It's like,
Yeah,
look, she can dress how you're not an animal.
right,
You're
true.
not supposed to be.
At the same point in time, I mean, if you are a white guy and you start dressing in a whole bunch of gold and jewels, and you're going to walk down the street, and you decide to, walk down the street in nothing but diamonds attached to your body and dollar bills stuffed into a G-string through the middle of, I don't know, whatever Detroit black neighborhood there
What?
is.
Why are you picking on Detroit?
Because I can't think
Jealousy.
of a town in Manhattan that hasn't
Jealousy.
been gentrified at this point in time.
Yeah,
That's why.
that's true.
I could say U Street. You can't walk down the U Street corridor. Sure. But, I mean, the point is this, yet that, okay, yes, you should be able to walk practically stark naked with dollar bills dripping from your, hiney anywhere you want. But the fact is, if you do it, you're likely to get accosted and somebody's going to steal them from you. So the same goes, I think, for women. You got to have some social awareness, and you can't just walk into a place and expect that everybody's going to be so nice that you don't have to worry about anything. No, be aware. You got to understand your situational awareness. I don't care who you are. Everybody does it. We all have
This
to keep on our toes. It's just the
this
way
fellow
things are.
Brian Thompson, though, the
Yeah.
CEO that was murdered, he got murdered for just simply the job he held, the company he worked for. He
Well, at this
worked his
point in
whole
time, we don't
life to
even
kind
know.
of get there, to make a difference. And one person thought, I disapprove. And instead of saying, hey, I protest you, I disapprove, he shoots him and kills him.
Right.
This guy
Yeah.
is going to, you see this Mangione,
Yeah.
he's going to be the belle of the ball.
Oh, look, you take a
About the
look at him.
third time he's in Rikers doing the peel and squeal, he's going to think, you know what? I don't think I thought this through. My high Ivy League education
yeah, right.
never imagined this.
He's smiling. He thinks he's all that in a bag of chips. But it's the guy shot him in the back. I don't care where you are, what you're going through. I mean, I don't know. Maybe he's got some he's not debilitated enough that he can't get away on a bike. He's not in so much pain that he can't make the trek across Central Park.
Flirting with baristas.
He looks like he's a big smiling fool.
Yeah, look, he was having a pretty good time to me.
Yeah,
I don't know
exactly.
what was wrong with him.
So how terrible is that he has to inflict the final punishment on somebody who didn't have anything to do with it?
See, if they want to find out what he did, I think they should humanely beat it out of him. As socially acceptable as possible. Just beat him with a rubber hose until he gives up, everything.
I think we need to go old school. I think we all need to go all Sopranos on the guy. Get Tony Soprano in there and say, look, Tony, this guy owes you money. And see what happens. But
Joni, you broke my heart. You broke my heart.
It's just a run of bad luck. I'm sorry. I got it.
Well, you think your luck was bad before. Listen to this, Paisan.
But he's out there. I mean, this guy looks like one of the Franco brothers, right?
He looks like a GQ model.
I was texting
what do you got
before.
to be upset about? You're Ivy League educated. You're extremely good looking. You're young,
and he works in the tech industry, right?
Yeah.
So it's not like this guy is consigned to a life of
like a drone, like an Oompa Loompa.
yeah. I mean, nowhere in his vocabulary is the phrase, "Do you want fries with that?" Right?
Yeah, he's all green and purple doing dances at work. He's not doing that.
Yeah, this guy was valedictorian of his high school.
Ironic that you brought that up because the guy that is serving fries is the one that turned him in at McDonald's.
Yeah, which is
Altoona, Pennsylvania. I don't think that's the one where Trump was, but that would have been, how funny would that have been? Trump, hey, there he is.
I saw this guy. He looked like a bad guy to me. He was suspicious. I don't
Hey,
know.
have you
You never know about these. But here's the question I wanted to ask you, and I actually I intimated this beforehand. But what the f is up with Pennsylvania that all these assassins are starting to come out of the state there, or the Commonwealth?
like Matthew Cooks and
Yeah. I mean, we've got Trump being shot by some guy while he's in Butler, Pennsylvania.
McCrook is his name.
Yeah, and we've got the CEO for United Healthcare being shot, albeit in New York City, but by a guy who went to UPenn and is hanging out there, right? I mean,
yeah.
Is there a scholarship for hitmen that I don't know about? I mean,
I think we should haul Josh Shapiro in. If he were a Republican, he'd already been hauled in by now.
And furthermore, so this guy goes out and he buys a 3D printer and he prints himself a weapon.
If you can do that, why would you do like anything? You can do anything. I had trouble getting this to work tonight.
Why the heck do we still worry about background checks when some guy could just go out, buy yourself a 3D printer and print yourself a gun?
I'm mad at you. Wait right here. I'm going to Kinko's. I'll be right back.
It apparently works with a silencer.
Yeah.
The last I heard, you had to have an FFL2, a federal firearms license level 2 to get a suppressor. Okay.
But this guy can make these things.
But I don't think he made this one, because I think, I don't know, the suppressor might not hold up under the extreme conditions of, I don't know, of suppressing. Now, there are certain things that are involved in a suppressor that make it happen, like the collection of gas and all that kind of stuff. But shoot, man, we're sitting there wanting meaningful, gun control, right? The Democrats do anyway. And what are they doing? They're letting 3D printers go to anybody who wants one.
Yeah, because it's not a bump stock.
Well, there we go. I think we need 3D printer control.
Well, the other thing is,
although, as you know,
if we get that clown on Capitol Hill last week, the head of the Secret Service, it's been 5 months and they still have no, one half of Beavis and Butthead have outsmarted them and they can't figure it out. You tell me they can't figure it out, that they don't know, that like I say, they made Trump a soft target.
Yeah.
And the wrong guy got murdered. And so now they're trying to cover it up. Corey Comparator got murdered and it was supposed to have been Trump.
Yeah.
And now they're trying to just throw dirt on this thing.
Well, and I'll say it again, that's no thanks to the Secret Service for that. The one thing that kept Trump alive was the local police in Butler that managed to climb up there and force his hand.
Right. Make the guy hurry.
He was, without that, the guy would have been up there taking his time, sighting everything in. And on the first shot, Trump was done.
Trump should give that guy, whoever he is, the Congressional Medal of Freedom.
Yeah. The presidential Medal of Freedom.
He saved his life. There's no question.
Yeah. It's, they took a shot, but they forced him to be quick about his firing position. And, unfortunately, the inadvertent result of that is that somebody else did die.
Man got murdered. Yeah. Hey, by the way, I wanted to ask you, what do you make of the guest list at Mar-a-Lago here lately?
All I know is I'm not on it. So
I can tell you who is. Okay. Zuckerberg's been down there.
Yeah, I know Zuckerberg's been down there. Yeah. Yep.
Trudeau's been down there. Everybody's down there bending the knee. Did you hear what Trump said to Trudeau?
Oh,
They're
Trudeau was
sitting
like all of
there.
a sudden, no, no, man, I'm in your corner. I'm your best bud.
Well, he's, Trump is talking about, people coming across the northern border and says, look,
Yeah.
we're going to have to collect money for that. That's $100 billion worth of, he says, if you do that, you'll destroy the Canadian economy. And Trump said, well, if you need to rip us off for $100 billion a year, maybe you'd be happier as the 51st state. And he said, I know prime minister sounds great, but just think of being a governor, And then someone at the table said to him, Mr. Trump, do you realize how liberal that state would be? And he says, yeah. He says, you're right. We better cut it in two. And we'll have to make two of them. He says to Trudeau, how does that sound to you? I mean, just vintage Trump. He's not serious.
I know he's not serious.
He's pointing out the absurdity by being absurd. It's like, you're ripping us off and you're the victim here. Are you serious?
But yeah, I guarantee you, Justin Trudeau has not been talked to that way since he was a little tyke in a nursery back in Havana, Cuba.
And he looked like, Baron Trump was on the other side, just kind of suppressing a laugh. And Trudeau looked like it was like he was Trump's little boy.
Oh man. Canada is almost a lost cause at this point in time. I mean, they're just a mess.
Well, they can vote this guy out, and I think he is suffering in the polls.
Well, he should.
I understand they've been calling him a fascist, a dictator, Hitler. That works.
Well, I got to tell you, he's all of that, because the guy has had he's one of the most repressive regimes, and I'm going to call it that. Canada is a repressive regime, selectively prosecuting its political enemies, taking out civilian truckers, wanting to
raising their bank accounts.
Yeah, wanting to raise their bank accounts to make sure that they don't speak inappropriately, and they don't speak against the government. And here you have these long haul truckers just driving around in the middle of 2020 without a mask while they're driving
by themselves.
I know. Well, it doesn't matter. You're by yourself. You need to show allegiance. Right, and the way you show allegiance is by wearing the mask.
Hood. You got to wear that sheet. You got to wear that Nazi armband.
Put that damn star on your chest there, boy.
Yes, that Star of David. We need to be able to identify you quickly.
That's it. And that's a lot of what was going on. And every time you turn around, they're doing the same thing again and again and again. And, they're the ones who made, the idea of somebody calling somebody by the wrong pronoun.
Yeah.
That somehow is, an illegal act, right? And it's something that you could go to jail for.
Well, Steve, there in England, people have been incarcerated. That means put in jail. For any people with a public school education listening out there,
it has nothing to do with
memes.
The pickup line at your local daycare,
right? For memes.
Yeah,
for memes that they don't like.
Oh my gosh, you made fun of us.
Yeah, how dare you? That's dangerous. That is hate speech. I keep trying to tell people in the United States, hate speech is protected speech.
Sure.
As long as you're not threatening to kill somebody with the means to do it,
you
can hate whomever you want. That's what makes America great. Look at all the people who voted against Trump because they hated him. They didn't look at Kamala and say, you know what? I like what she's got to offer.
But the thing is that none of the hate speech against Trump, okay, none of the vitriol, none of the same kind of talk would be considered hate speech. It would all be considered, just politically viable. It's like everything else when it comes down to the question of misinformation, right? What's misinformation? Misinformation is information contrary to the information that we put out there. So when we say that the virus did not come from a lab in China, and you say, well, gee, it might have, that's misinformation. Why? Because it runs against what we say. Lockdowns are not healthy because it destroys a lot of the social ability, particularly of our most vulnerable young people. That's misinformation. Why? Because it runs counter to what we're telling you.
You know what would have been
Masks
great?
have to be worn.
Is if
Distancing must be held. Why? Because we made up the information? No, because it's what we are telling you. Dr. Fauci, and I hate to even call him that, comes out and tries to crush people simply because they speak actual science, but it's against what the CDC says and against his particular policies.
I think we should call him Old Doc Fauci from now on. Sounds more like a patent medicine guy. But the Republicans missed a great opportunity.
I think it's like Dr. Fauci-gla.
Yeah,
like Dr. Mengele.
The
Only
Republicans they'd sometimes refer to Corinne Jean-Pierre as a binder because she always carried
right,
binder.
Yeah.
I think they should have referred to her as misinformation. That's what
that would have been good.
I would have called her. I mean, that's oh, here we go, misinformation.
Well, yeah,
the women who wanted to be information, and she becomes misinformation USA. How pathetic is Joe, man?
What? Oh,
I mean, I look at him and it's like, you want to talk about a guy? He's not even just a shell of himself. What's the stuff that comes off of the shell? That's what he is. I mean, just these. He's just he went to light the tree. He looked like the crypt keeper. His wisps of hair, the few he has left, are going all over the place. It's like, dude, put a hat on. You will die if you don't put a hat on.
Joe
you can't survive this.
Joe is now embryonic sac. Joe.
Yeah. It's really bad. I mean, I always referred to him as a rotting bale of oatmeal, but it's or alfalfa. It's worse. It's so much worse.
I almost feel bad for him. I almost feel bad for the guy.
If he hadn't been such a corrupt, racist prick his whole life and a grifter and a thief, I'd feel sorry for him too, because right now I don't think he really knows what's going on. I don't think he knows what's happening to his legacy. You saw this where he pardons Hunter.
Oh my gosh.
Not only for the charges he's facing, but he goes back 11 years, pardons him for anything he might possibly have done. He's pardoned through December 31st. God knows what he's up to right now. He could be doing anything.
I love it.
And now they're lining people up for preemptive pardons to save them from Trump. Mark Milley, Liz Cheney, Nancy Pelosi.
Has anybody seen Hunter Biden recently, though? I'd like to know this. Has anybody actually laid eyes on Hunter Biden in the last week or so?
Dude.
Because I think the guy took that.
He's in Vegas under a pile of coke and hookers. They can't touch me. That'll be on his tombstone.
I don't even forget Vegas, man. The guy went to Macau.
Oh, yeah, good point. He's much more popular there. He was great for that.
He went to the Las Vegas of China because of two reasons. He's a lot more popular there, and it's much easier to get very young Asian girls.
Oh,
so I told you about the time he's sitting there, the video of him, Hang
on a second. I'm checking flights to Macau.
There was that video of him on his laptop where this Asian girl runs out of the hotel room, and about 20 seconds later, a naked Hunter Biden runs after her down the hall, grabs her and drags her back in, I think by her feet.
It's like a whole Sean Combs thing.
Yeah, exactly.
So Hunter comes running out their helicopter in the whole way. Like Black Hawk Down.
That's right. Nothing but a little Mickey Mouse beanie in front.
At one point, he actually elevated. He was running so fast.
It gave him the speed to catch up. Whoa! Just pull me down the hall.
Guaylo, Guaylo. That
Oh
means white
man.
devil for the uninitiated.
So you know he's there. I mean, you know the guy's not coming
Doing
up for air
something. He
until
wasn't
after
with
New
Jill and
Year's.
his, in his sister in France.
No,
I
it's
think
look.
would be a nice, what a wonderful place to take your family during the holidays. And we go to Paris. I have to tell you something, and this is true, because people, oh, you're making, I wouldn't make this up because for one thing, I couldn't think of it. But he is being sued by his landlord in like Malibu for like $380,000 in back rent. But he's trying to pay his landlord off $380,000 with a couple of his paintings.
Oh, really? The
that
straw
he-
paintings?
but that he made out of his own feces. No kidding. And
Okay,
here's
wait.
something
I want to know.
that wouldn't be,
Wait a minute. When was this feces acquired?
I don't know, but the pictures were
Because
tough as shit. I can tell you that.
yeah, but if it was, there are certain times that there might be enough in those feces to get people high for a very long time.
Or
And
to
if you,
incriminate Hunter.
you could theoretically, they may not be worth anything in artistic merit, but they might have enough trace evidence in them
To snort it.
yeah, you could line
You know
up a
what?
small
Hunter,
village
if
in
Hunter
Haiti.
had thought of that, he wouldn't have offered them.
Yeah, maybe.
Because, any port in a storm.
Yeah, right.
But the thing is, this isn't a federal crime. This is local jurisdiction. So he can be sued for this.
Wow.
The other thing this does, his blanket pardon, he can no longer claim the fifth.
Yeah, but good luck getting
He
him
can't
to say
incriminate
anything.
himself. So when they bring him in, if he refuses to come in, they can charge him.
Yeah, no,
And that's not covered.
okay, but what he can sit there and do is he can say, "I don't recall."
Great, and then you bring in other people.
Yeah, but
now he's perjured himself after the pardon.
But not if he says, "I don't recall."
Depends on how bad you want to get him.
No, I think. Look, I think Hunter is
him.
essentially a dead end, and I think the reason is a dead end. Look, and I don't think. Let's go ahead and let's attack this two ways. One, Joe Biden, is probably inclined to pardon his son, but he's also, political enough to know that, okay, it's not a good look. It's not a good look for the Democrats. So he's not going to do it. And, Sonny Boy's going to have to bite the bullet. It's not his favorite son anyway. Bo's gone. But you reached a point of two things. One is people started to get very nervous about what was going to happen under a Trump Department of Justice.
Well,
and what was going to be uncovered.
Who could Hunter finger?
That's the point.
I hate to put it that way.
What was going to be uncovered, and who was going to be uncovered, and what crimes were going to be implicated. And I think, Joe was worried not just about himself, but I think there were a lot of other people involved who made, who made it happen.
They needed to have this happen. Because I was thinking what you could do if you were Joe Biden and you really wanted to take the high ground was say, not going to pardon him. You wait, he gets sentences, and then you commute the sentence.
Right.
You could do that, but that doesn't go back to Burisma back in 2014 and all of that. It doesn't cover that. So he had to, there is so much corruption, so much criminal liability.
Yeah.
That's what this is about. And anybody who's like,
right.
Pardon, it's because, it's because you did something wrong.
Exactly. Well, if you get a pardon, you usually get a pardon for something that happened. In other words,
it's not for breaking wind in church. Everybody just moves away from you.
You've been convicted of something.
Yeah. Or are about to be.
Yeah. Now, you could say, okay, there's a miscarriage of justice, like the Alvin Bragg prosecution of Trump.
Yeah.
But we've seen what happened with Hunter. This wasn't a miscarriage of justice. This was, if anything, a comeuppance that resulted from him having a whole lot of privilege and being the president's son.
Well, the other thing
But
was
okay,
they
but
weren't
see
made
that,
up
but
charges either. Like with
right, right,
Trump, they had to cobble
right,
together charges no one had ever heard of
yeah.
before. Hunter
But if
Biden was accused of specific things, and in one of the cases was found guilty by a jury of his peers
yeah,
in Delaware,
sure,
where the Bidens run Delaware, and
yeah.
people still said this guy's guilty.
Well, because he in fact was guilty.
Yeah, he did it. There's
Yeah.
irrefutable evidence he did it. They didn't
So
have to
okay,
make anything up.
so now that's fine. If you want to go ahead and you want to pardon him for that, you can. But you say Hunter then is pardoned for his gun possession while he was a felon. If you're going to pardon Hunter for that, then you say fine, okay, Hunter, you made a mistake. You've been convicted of a gun possession charge while you were a felon. You have, a few little back taxes in the amount of $1.4 million that you didn't pay. Whoops, fine. We pardon you for those. That's not what happened. What happened was they went back to the beginning of time and said, we pardon Hunter for anything and everything he's done from this date to this date. And that tells you that there's gold in them there hills.
Hey, I wanted to know if you heard this. This was the speech Kamala Harris should have made.
As difficult as it is to accept that I'm one of the most unpopular candidates in history, even with the entire mainstream media machine backing me and working to get me elected, it appears I have lost the race. Donald Trump, Elon Musk, Fox, and everyone else that wasn't on Team Joy. Fuck you. Fuck all of you. You motherfuckers just can't stand to see a strong Black and occasionally Indian woman succeed. How the fuck did I get 15 million less votes than that retard Joe Biden in 2020? And pardon my language, but everyone knows under a second Trump term, we're allowed to say retarded again. So get off my balls. But seriously, how the fuck did Joe get 15 million more votes than me? I'm starting to think maybe we did steal that election in 2020. No way his dusty ass did that much better than me. Shit, I barely got more votes than Hillary Clinton. And we've imported 50 million illegals since 2016. And they're all voting for me. As for what's next for me, I'm still in charge of this country until January 20th. You heard that right? Joe doesn't know where the fuck he is half the time. So plan on an action-packed next couple of months. Might even fuck around and invade Canada. Finally, thanks for fucking nothing, America. You made Rachel Maddow and Van Jones cry again. I hope you're all very happy with yourself. My fellow Americans, we all knew this.
I have heard that. I have heard that. And I was going to say that this is how I know.
That's a much better concession speech than the one she gave.
That is the best speech that she never gave.
That's right. It was concise. It was the first time she said anything that
it was
sense.
Coherent. It was to the point. At no point in time were we instructed about how it's all about the passage of time.
I just love the whole campaign of joy thing.
Oh, I know.
How long did they think that was going to last?
You know what's funny? If you remember when she first started in and was taking, was running, I said, and I think I said on this podcast, I said, Trump missed the opportunity that I handed to Nikki Haley, and she did not take me up on it, which was if you wanted to make your re-election campaign or your election campaign about something, make it about freedom. And at first, they started in on all this whole thing about freedom, right? Oh, we're the party of freedom. We're all about freedom. And they dumped that thing faster than a hot potato. And I ask you, why? Is it because freedom didn't play well? No, because the answer is it did play well. The problem is it didn't play well in the hands of Democrats who have spent
That's not what they want.
The last 18, 20 years dumping on freedom like it was $1 million porta-john in the middle of San Francisco. I mean, it was just, they couldn't handle it. Walls got up there and started saying, well, we're all about freedom. Yeah, we're about like the freedom from having to think for yourself. okay, guys, you have
We
no
want
idea
to
what
free you
is.
from having to make your own decisions.
Right.
That's what we want to free you from. But I got to tell you this.
Oh, coach.
I'm going to miss seeing someone come out on stage like a dog who just saw his master for the first time today. You know, that guy did everything but like pee on the stage. He was insane. It looks like every dog you've ever seen when the master gets home.
Yeah.
Because he doesn't know how long you've been gone. It could be 2 days. It could be 2 years. He thinks you're dead the whole time.
That's right.
And then you walk in and you're going
tail's wagging behind my head.
Scratching behind his ears. That's what he looked like. And his wife was no better. She did the same thing.
You know, to this day, you could not convince me that his son does not have mental issues. I'm sorry.
Well, he's got something like autism. He's on the spectrum somehow.
They were, after that convention, they were like, oh, how could you be? Remember how you had people out there just, you know, throwing every underhanded comment they could about Barron Trump back in 2016 and all that stuff, right? After he was like fair game. Everybody was, you know, 10-year-old kid, and they're throwing everything they can at him.
Yeah, he's out there all bleary-eyed, wants to be anywhere else but on that stage. Right. This year he comes out there, he's like 6'6".
I know, towering over everybody. But, you know, it turned around, and you got the kid that's on the spectrum. This kid is deep into the spectrum, man. This guy is so spectrum. He makes Pink Floyd look like a single strand of light.
He's the Philadelphia spectrum.
And he's up, you know, making his little whatever comments and crying his eyes out. And you're like, you know, this is not. And I noticed he wasn't on the football team, right?
No.
But all right.
He was just getting shoved around by the old man on the convention stage.
You say one thing, like, I think, is there an extra chromosome there that we haven't been told about? Well, how dare you say that? Oh, my God. Obviously, that's misinformation. Moreover, it's hate speech. Well, which is it? Misinformation or hate speech? It's both. Why? Because we say it's both. Because the only thing you can live by is what we tell you. It was very Orwellian, the whole thing with the Democrats over these past
Walls
years.
too. Yeah, I mean, with the whole situation with the kid and you know, and his wife, it's like, oh, she's, you know, she doesn't seem to be as affectionate with Tim Walz as she is with like other people on the stage. And it's like Tim Walz is like, God, we couldn't be closer. We are brother and sister. That's what I expected.
At some point in time, you're just waiting for Tim Walz to walk up to somebody and go, "Get my wife's name out your motherfucking mouth." You know, I mean, that's what you expect. But here
it's funny now, all of the postmortems that have come out, like David Plouffe, I hate that name. It sounds like a bodily function, but he was Obama's guy, you know, and he was talking about how, you know, I think the problem was everybody thought that, you know, the race was really so tight, and, you know, the polls would come out that would show that we were ahead. And we never saw a single poll internally that said we were anywhere near the lead. You and I talked about this.
Yeah,
it's like their internal polls, they wouldn't be freaking out. Kamala Harris wouldn't be as much of as just a disaster she is mentally.
Yeah.
You don't want that person to debate any more than you have to.
Yeah.
And they're out there begging for another debate. And Trump's like, right. It's like Trump says, when you get into a fight and you beat somebody, that's not the guy that's asked, you know, the winner doesn't ask for the rematch.
Yeah, which is kind of funny. What I found absolutely amazing is here you had journalist after journalist crawling over themselves to say, Kamala, look, come over here. We'll ask you some questions. We want to find out about you. We're not going to do it. We can't do it. You know what we're going to do instead? We're going to pay Oprah $1 million.
2.5, it turned out.
$2.5 million. Why did you have to pay Oprah 2.5? She was one of the people at your stupid convention.
You had unearned media to the tune of a couple of $1 billion that you never took advantage of.
If somebody is willing to step on the stage with you How do you have to pay them to do an interview? A supposed media person, right? And that's
Reverend
what it
Al
took.
got $500,000.
But see,
Did
this
you
is
know
what
that?
it took.
$500,000 he got.
What did he do?
Promoted her to his group or whatever. He got paid.
Basically, you have all
He
these
said
people.
Al got to get paid.
There's like no way Al was going to take her. Well, I'm not taking that to my people unless you give me something.
Yeah,
Really?
well, that's the name. Al's group, his pack is called Al Gots to Get Paid.
But hear me out. I mean, if you have Oprah showing up, I mean, you can't even get Beyonce to sing the Star Spangled Banner, right? Or the Star Spangled Banner.
She wasn't going to sing "Row, Row, Row Your Boat."
She could have sung the Black national anthem for all it's worth, but you couldn't even get her to do that. You could get none of these people behind Kamala. Oprah comes out on stage and says, the next president of the United States, and then turns around and demands $2.5 million in order to conduct a powder puff interview. It was going to be so hard to do an interview of Kamala that did not step across the line that it was going to take them $2.5 million. Well, that's just my editing expenses. I can't do it otherwise. Yeah, everybody else in the world, what's his name? Who's that guy on Fox? Brett Baer. Well, not Brett Baer, but Brit Hume. Brit Hume was like, I would have done it free.
Yeah.
Come on, it'll be fair. I'm not gonna. We'll just ask you the questions.
Yeah, but you know how much spandex costs now?
I know, but it was the whole I would like to know answers to these things. But that was the point. Nobody wanted to know the answer. Nobody wanted the answers to get out because they were
trying to get something manufactured. Oprah's show business. They could manufacture something. That was the hope. That's why she went and she got these celebrities, because they thought these people are phonies. They're actors. They're the biggest douchebags on the planet. But people seem to like them.
Joy
maybe I can make them like me.
And the feels or whatever it was, the vibe.
Yeah.
But here's what
vibes.
Here's what I think. I think basically what you had the same people. Look, she said that, as they say, the quiet part out loud when she said, what would you change between what Biden did and what you would do?
Nothing comes to mind.
Nothing comes to mind. That was the quiet part out loud, because really what you had is it was going to be the same people in power. Okay. Biden himself is not doing anything. He's doing nothing. Right. Under Kamala, we would have the same. What you have is you have a Politburo. Okay. That Politburo is behind Kamala, is behind Biden. And they're all, the reason everything is like all of a sudden it lost ends is because everybody's like, fuck this. What's the point of even coming in? I got other shit to do. I got to get elected here. I got to find someplace else to do. So Biden is not doing the very thing that he wouldn't have done before because his brain is a pile of mush. Kamala would have been doing the same exact thing that Biden did, because it's not Biden who did it. It's that Politburo. And this is what people, I think, are really going to finally start to come to realize. All of this whole bit about, the evil cat on a shelf out of balance, the democracy is on the ballot is a load of horseshit. Democracy wasn't on the ballot. The pseudo-democracy that you were being spoon-fed is on the ballot.
Yeah.
Because that goes away, nothing is there to take its place. The Politburo of people in power who ran this country, that was on the ballot. And people knew it and they voted against it. And that's why we have Trump in office. And Trump, nothing against Trump necessarily, although I got plenty against Trump. Nothing against him particularly. He didn't win this election as much as people did not want to live in the Soviet Union circa 1981.
No, I agree.
And-
I agree with that.
and that's-
that was a lot. That was the motivation for millions of voters. Things literally could not get worse. They could not possibly get worse. And if they do, I'm done anyway. So I might as well go back to when at least,
Yeah.
maybe I didn't like the guy's personality, but I had money in my pocket and I could afford gas. Let's go back to that.
Well, the difference just from a flat out American, we have elections and we elect people and they do stuff. We had a choice between an unknown Politburo getting together and deciding what should happen, and then those people funneling it through their mouthpiece called Joe Biden, or their to-be mouthpiece called Kamala Harris, or we could elect Trump. At least if you elect Trump, you know who's in charge. There's no way in effing hell Trump is allowing somebody else to run his government for him. It's not going to happen.
The guy you voted for will make the decision.
You elect Trump, you get Trump.
Yeah.
You elect Kamala, you don't know who you get. You're going to get all these other guys. Well, maybe Obama's one of the people. I don't know. Bernie Sanders has definitely got a voice in there.
Well, so does
AOC. And this is the reason. Yeah, the reason that you didn't hear so much from Elizabeth Warren and AOC and Bernie Sanders, who were all mouth all the time before Trump was elected. Okay, the reason you didn't hear from them is because they were already in power. They had it.
Yeah.
They were behind this mess. They were the Politburo. And we still have a lot of holdover socialists at this point in time. We have a whole lot of socialists. We have a whole lot of communists, and they're out there. And they're like this guy who shot the CEO. And you know this because Luigi,
the Super Mario
brother, which was a great line. The really disturbing thing is there are some serious disturbing things that have occurred in the past year. Call it the past year and 2 months, that make me think we've crossed the precipice, that there's no coming back, and eventually,
the Rubicon, if you will.
Yeah, that's it. They are one. As many people, I don't even know how many people at institutions or whatever, all of a sudden showing up, protesting in favor of the terrorists that kill Israeli citizens, private citizens. How do you get people out there protesting in favor of the murder of babies and the disembowelment of pregnant mothers? I don't get it. That's big signal one that I still have not internalized. I don't get it.
Treat them like mushrooms. You keep them in the dark and feed them bullshit.
Okay, yeah. But eventually you figure either the bullshit is there or it doesn't take. This is how you know the bullshit has taken. Because not just that, but also with the shooting of the CEO here, whose name Brian Thompson. He looks like a decent guy. Looks like a guy I'd love to, sit there and have a drink with, right? But he's 50 years old, right? There are people out there cheering the shooting of this guy in the back. There are people out there who say, gee, I hope his assassin never gets caught. There are people out there who normally are on the side of the cops trying to help the police solve these things by finding out what's gone on and where these people are. And they refuse to help.
I think part of that is the media, it looks for those kinds of people. I really don't believe it's the preponderance of Americans. I think it's some kind of a niche lunatic fringe, but the squeaky oil getting the grease, that's what's going to get the clicks. That's
I
going to
don't
get
know.
people to tune in. I don't think. I mean, those people aren't. Well, they're not. They're not even human to think that way.
But that's the point, is that
They have no
they're
humanity.
there. But they're there. I mean,
Well, they are there, and they're gullible, and they'll be there for now. But I still believe so many of these people who are coming out pro-Palestine, all of that, within just a few years from now, they're going to loathe themselves for what they did.
there is a whole article in the Wall Street Journal on about how uh, it had this flavor of, this feel, this taste of French Revolution to it. It was let them eat cake, right? Well, here, have a taste of a little guillotine. I mean,
Yeah.
that's basically, it was this come. And the stupid thing is this is all about, at least this whole idea of deny whatever, blah blah. You're talking, this is the result of Obamacare. Insurance rates have gone up astronomically since we put in Obamacare. You've been denied more coverage because of Obamacare, because the only way to balance all of these stupid things out is somewhere you got to make the cuts. So you got executives that are sitting there saying, gee, we're taking 50 cents and we're expected to pay out $1.50 of services. There are more life-saving medicines. There are more life-saving procedures. There are things that can extend the life of very sick people, and we're taking advantage of them. So people that used to die at age 50 now live to age 65. People that used to die at age 62 are living into their 70s and 80s. And through all of that, they require medicine, and that medicine has to be paid for. And how is it being paid for? It's being paid for by Obamacare. And Obamacare is being subsidized by the taxpayers. The taxpayers can't do it forever. So what do you got? You got people who pay, my freaking insurance was $700 and some odd dollars a month, and it's going up to $800 a month, $10,000+ a year just for insurance. That doesn't include, the whatever we got, the copayment, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if I want to actually see full maximum use, I gotta spend like 25 grand, right? So that's not unusual. But the problem is that we're all expect to get what we pay for. But what we pay for is jack shit.
Right.
Okay. And we're like, well, damn, I have insurance. I ought to have this covered.
Well, you have insurance. That doesn't mean you have health care.
Well, that's it.
Those are two different things.
I told you about my cardiologist.
Canada has health care for everyone.
Right.
No, they don't. They have health insurance for everyone.
Yeah.
Those are two different things.
But, and if there's no way it's not possible to get more than you're worth. It's just not. I was out, it's the start of Christmas season. So naturally, I have parties to go to. So this past weekend, we did 5 parties in 2 days. And you'd love it because one of the parties, it was nothing but Illuminati. And
thanks for inviting me, by the way.
It wasn't my party.
I'd love it. No, I wouldn't. I'm not invited to these things.
No, it was kind of fun as we're
I'm
sitting
sure it
there.
Was.
No, we're walking.
You look happy.
Here comes this fine young gentleman in a really nice coat and a ponytail, and I was like, oh, I recognize the badge on your lapel, sir. Oh, is that from the order? Yeah, yes, it is. Oh, are you headed to the Illuminati party? And well, I haven't decided yet, but we're considering it. So there's like 20 people in this party in Georgetown. Half of them are Illuminati, the other half of them are colonial warriors. So anyway, that was a lot of fun, and I got to talk to this kid who was from the Heritage Foundation. Really interesting. He had been cornered by a guy I knew was a flaming liberal who was just absolutely setting him up by saying, oh, Heritage, yeah. Oh, did you have anything to do with the 2025 project? all this kind of stuff. And he's going, well, no, but I know a lot of, he's being way too open for what he should be. And so I had to lean across the board and say, well, I said, the 2025 project. I said, yeah, we need to pass it to find out what's in it. He's like, oh, that'll never happen. Well, wait a minute. It was good enough for Obamacare.
Happened before.
Wasn't it? Right? If it's good
Yes,
enough
yeah.
for Obamacare, I don't know. Maybe it's a good idea here. The other thing was the next day we were at a party. I actually went from that party to another party full of a lot of left-leaning folks, including our local congressman. I'll let you figure out who that is because this is going to be public. But I was walking by him from behind. He's chatting when his wife's next to him, and I had to resist with all my might, just walking up behind him and going, "Hey!" grabbing him by the shoulders and just going, "Hey, how you doing?"
Till he cries.
Yeah, exactly. That would have been funny, but yeah, my wife said, "No, it's good you didn't do that." But anyway, the next day, we had the Scottish Walk, and in Old Town, and I'm having a conversation with a woman who is it's very nice. We're talking Christmas trees, the walk, all this kind of stuff. We're up at the Lafayette House. She's from Venezuela, and you have never seen anybody happier that Trump got elected than this woman.
Someone from a socialist country.
And she's like, I am from Venezuela. I know it can happen anywhere. And she was going on. I was like,
they say it in a way that makes you afraid.
and I'm like, I would like to sit and talk with you. We had a good conversation, but it was one of those things that, she was gassed and amazed at the comparisons between how things were going here under the little Politburo we had to where they are now. It's like, holy crapola. Now, there's no guarantee that a Trump presidency is going to be any good. And even the worst case, even the best case scenario probably has a big giant pendulum swing back to, full on Soviet style Russia only in the United States. We'll have to see. Because both sides are a little bit activated.
I'm willing to take my chances.
Well,
after what I've just seen, I'm willing to take my chances.
You know that it was going to be that way under Kamala. If you allowed it just to absolutely continue, not anymore. Trump has been elected.
Kamala-la-la-la-la.
We have, so the official pronunciation of the Kamala is Kamala.
Kamala.
Kamala. Da, 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 da,
da. We're gonna miss you, Kami.
That would have been because that would have been fun to say for the next 4 years.
Just trying to figure out how to say it.
I don't know. No, just to say Kami.
Kami.
Say now that the commies are in power.
Kamala.
As we used to say.
Boy, George could have made a big comeback. I'm surprised he didn't. He could have.
I know. Yeah.
It was right there for him.
He wanted too much money.
Hey, good. We think of everything here. We should probably make that last call.
Anyway, folks, well, we thank you for tuning in.
We'd love to hear from you. We've gotten a few notes from you. We've tried to get them out here as much as we can today, but happyhoursend@gmail.com is the best way to reach us for email. And you can also follow us on Facebook. If you like us on Facebook, this podcast will come right to you. We're on this video cast will be on YouTube now.
We will actually put it up, and you'll be able to see how great Brian would look on a 25-cent piece. Thanks, folks, for tuning in. We do appreciate you. Even if we don't tell you,
good to be with y'all.
Even if we don't send you a Christmas gift,
we won't.
Don't expect one.
Not because we're cheap, but we're just traditionalists. We believe in the true spirit of the holiday.
It's all about the love.
Yes.
So For Brian Bourdon.
And Stephen D. Memory.
Cheers.
Sláinte.